No issues. Hey Krishna.
Hi everyone.
Hey
Good
Krishna, can you
morning.
hear me?
Hi. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Are we gonna go live? Otherwise, just let us know once you're live.
We are live,
Okay.
friends.
Okay. Hey Krishna, welcome
Hi.
to Global Power Platform in the bootcamp. I see a lag. Okay. Yeah. Welcome, Krishna, to the audience. Let me introduce Krishna. Krishna is a SharePoint architect from by profession, and I think he's a power user for Power Apps also. MVP as well for business application, Microsoft certified trainer. He's renowned, well renowned across the globe as a public speaker. We have seen him for so many events across. Uh, so Krishna, the floor is yours. Just let us know the audience how the workflow is going to happen for the session perspective, and how you're going to take it further, and how's things that you're in from COVID perspective or whatever. Some light talks before we start the session.
Absolutely. Okay. First thing first, I was a SharePoint architect. Now, from the last 4.5 years, I'm heavily onto Power Platform. So I'm a Power Platform architect. People who want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me for Power Platform related and Power Platform related architectural questions also. Okay. Uh, Coming to the situation over here, I live in North Carolina, in the United States. Situation over here related to COVID is okay. It's under control. Hopefully, most vaccinations will go through, and the impact will come down. So,
Yeah.
having said that, hopefully, good morning, everybody out there in India. Good evening, good afternoon from the rest of the world. Uh, Welcome to the event and welcome to my session, wherein we will learn some, challenges. We have seen a beautiful session and beautiful overview from Dilip from Microsoft, where he explained what is coming new, what are the new stuff have been released, and why low code no code, which is beautiful. Now in this session, while we are getting into the room, we should always know what are the limitations we have and how to come across those limitations. So today we are going through the limitations and workarounds for each and every limitation. Okay. Having said that, I'm just sharing my screen. Let me know once you guys see my screen. Just to ensure that there is no lag on the voice, I'm just shutting down my video. Could somebody confirm that you could see my screen?
Yep.
Great. Once again, good morning. The global event of Hindi. A quick introduction of myself. I am Krishna. I have 17 years of IT experience. As I said, I'm a business applications MVP and Power Platform solution architect and a lead. I'm a business applications MVP and Microsoft certified trainer. I have contributed 280 solutions plus in the community. Last but not least, I'm an active YouTuber. I have my own YouTube channel where I'm contributing my knowledge by digging into the community every day or once in 2 days and look at like what are the frequent questions, what are the frequent challenges my fellow developers are experiencing, and I'm looking for the best solution by following all the Microsoft standard guidelines, and I'll create a video and I'll release for all of you. Whoever is the first time getting a chance to look at me, you can go ahead and scan the image right next to my channel, and you can subscribe to my channel if you see there is a value in my channel content. As you could see, I'm a super user from last 2 years, and this is the latest swag I got from Microsoft. Thank you, Microsoft, for the swags. Okay, without any further delay, what is today's agenda? Today's agenda is all about understanding various important controls in Power Apps ad- and address their limitations. As I said, knowing lot about the application is one aspect. Knowing the limitations and solving those limitations or knowing workaround for those limitations is a big thing we should know, because when we implement something, if we don't know the limitation or a bottlenecks, we will end up in a trouble while we are in the process of implementation. Okay, I hope all my colleagues and fellow developers will also agree on this point. Having said that, first limitation we are going to talk about is gallery control. Why gallery control? Gallery control is one control we use heavily. Will you be able to create any of the app without a gallery control? For me, no, it's impossible. Without a gallery control, will you create? One word, no, it's not possible, because everybody want to see a list of submissions or list of existing entries or list of all their events happen or events they are capturing. When we are implementing an app with a gallery control, we must know what are all the limitations. The first limitation is cannot add more than 8 columns. What are you talking, Krishna? I have added 12 columns. I agree. You can add even 25 columns. But what is the readability of the data? Is it easily readable? Or those columns are not getting squeezed? That's more important. When we are implementing, the first thing is UI and user experience. These two are the highest priority. If the user is not able to read the data, what we are presenting on the app on the screen, it's a failure app. Users will very soon say bye bye to that app. So let's not fall into that. So when we add more columns, the data will get squeezed. It is a biggest bottleneck. We will know how to understand that. Cannot implement a horizontal scroller in a gallery. As I said, when we have to add more columns, how we can address is only when you can scroll the gallery. But unfortunately, there is no option of horizontal gallery in a horizontal scroller in a gallery. Cannot convert one type to other. What do you mean by that? We will discuss that with the demo in a minute. Last but not least, missing information if the data is a long test. These two things I'll walk you through. Now let me know once you see my application. What do you see? Do you see my application? Could somebody confirm on that? Could somebody confirm what do you see? I hope you could see
Yeah,
the
I can see. We can see
Power
now.
App.
Yeah, we can see the Power
Great.
App now.
Great. So the first thing is I cannot see the data if the data is too long. This is what I mean. A regular gallery, when I implement a gallery with a regular gallery, I would not be able to see all the data if the data is unexpected data and if the data is too long. If we are showing a description, if we are showing a user address, if we are showing a synopsis of your information, it is very hard to predict that how many lines user are going to key in. Most of the times architect will come up with a beautiful excuse stating that it is a limitation, we have to say more next to the end of it and click on that, we will show a pop-up. No, definitely not. How we can address that is just change that with the help of a flexible gallery. So the same fellow, when you create using the flexible gallery, what happens is, oops, sorry, one moment. When you implement the same app, same gallery with the help of a flexible gallery height, what happens is the same information will render properly, because I'm just mimicking the data in such a way that it depends on the data height we will be rendering the data. I think I messed up this. One moment. Okay, this is the regular gallery, and when we just implement the same fellow using with a flexi height gallery, what happens is the data will automatically render, because the beauty with the flexi height gallery is that when you render the data, it will automatically stretch the template height. So the same thing I have covered as part of my channel. Probably when you really want to see more about it, you can watch that video. Taking respect on the time, I don't want to do a step-by-step approach on that, but only the approach for this issue is for this issue of missing information. If the data is long data, is the which is using the flexible gallery, and how we could do that I have explained in that video. Just try to get into that. And the next one is I cannot change from one gallery to another gallery. What does that mean exactly? Is now I feel this is a regular gallery, and now if I want to change the type of the gallery in our Power Apps, there are total 3 type of galleries, ideally 6 type of galleries, but I am not considering these 3 as 3 types, because the same thing which a blank vertical, horizontal blank horizontal, flexible blank flexible. So when I just say 3 types, when I if I want to, now this one is a regular gallery. If I want to switch that to flexible height, I cannot change that from the layout. All I have to do is I have to just delete this gallery and add that gallery again. That's the limitation. So always ensure, while you are adding, ensure that how the data will work. See here, I have implemented the same with a flexible gallery. When I just say, if you notice, the same data is flexibly rendering the data into the height of the data. If the data is short, the row height is becoming short as expected. But in a regular gallery, I'm losing the data. But if you implement the same functionality with the help of a flexible gallery, the same data will get rendered happily. As I said, I have explained how you could do, what are the formulas you should use, what are the properties you need to set. I have explained in that video. On my channel, you could see that video. Sorry, I don't want to deep dive and spend half an hour over here. I have some other topics to cover. So the best one is flexible gallery to address this issue. And how could I implement a horizontal gallery, horizontal scroller on gallery? You need to use responsive containers, add a responsive container and add a gallery inside that. That automatically opens the scroller. How you could do, what are the steps to be followed? Watch Dhruvin's channel. He had explained that step by step meticulously. He explained how you could have to add responsive container, how to add a gallery, how to add additional columns, how this horizontal scroller will get enabled. He explained that. Next one is a drop down control. Most of the times we add drop down controls to show options to select, but the challenge with the drop down control is, if your data is more than 500 elements, 500 items, unfortunately you will not be able to see the data in that drop down. What are the possibilities to show 500 entries, Krishna? Example, if I want to show a people picking or employee selection as part of my drop down, depends on the selection of the division, country division and project. At times it might go more than 500 elements. If it is going beyond, always remember, it is not dependent on your app limitation. The control itself cannot support more than 500 elements. I cannot implement a search on the list of items what I show as part of my dropdown. In a dropdown, it shows only the data. If I have to select any one of the item inside the dropdown, I'll have to scroll through one by one, one by one, one by one. Last but not least, I cannot implement multi-selection. What is the workaround for this issue, Krishna? First, identify what is the data I'm going to show as part of the dropdown. My suggestion is, if it is data, something like what is the gender, what is the travel opinion, are you travel option, are you willing to travel, are you're not willing to travel? Ensure, understand the data first. If the data is going to be less than 10 elements at any point of time, then only you go with the drop down. If it is not 10 elements. If it is going to be more than 10 elements down the line over the period of time, say no to drop down, because it is not at all user friendly. User will definitely end up having a challenge in implementing or using the drop down control. So what is the workaround, Krishna? Combo box. Replace your control, drop down control, with combo box. How does that work? Is, look at here. In this example, again, this also I have explained step by step in the channel, how to use that, what are the formulas. But now if you go here and see, it will by default show 500 elements. But if I want to say something related to user who is starting with TU, if I just type in TU, if it is a combo box, the same data I'm providing as an input to combo box also. Since the data is 215K records and the data source is SharePoint, it takes probably 2 seconds, depends on the data. Now, if you see here, I can see users whose name is starting with TU, but none of these users are coming as part of my first dropdown. If you notice here, all I could see is TU, only one. I don't see any other user whose name is starting with TU. But in this combo, I can see all the users. And how I could do that is, don't worry about this delegation search. I'm not using search for now, because I'm restricting my filter by like this. If this one will pull down the data as per my users search criteria. Using this, I can show more than 100 tickets. As I was keep telling, this table, this list has 200K records. However, this is 215. This is the record. This is the table I'm using. This is the list I'm using, and I'm able to show the data happily without any issues. And if you see here, the time I select this, just get add, and the row number for this is 6167. I'm sure every developer or every app maker know that I cannot get a record after 2000 records because of the app limitation. App limitations are maximum I can add 2000. If I add 2001, it says like, hey boy, you can add between 1 to 2000 only. So if it goes beyond 2000, unfortunately, I cannot get it. It is app limitation. But how I am able to get this data is, I have restricted my items to be shown as part of my combo box with the criteria as this. What about the default data I show in combo box is, it will also show only 500 records, but it has a capability to show more than 100K records. So make use of that. Again, as the other issue is, I cannot search as part of the dropdown, and I can search as part of the dropdown, which we have seen already. Another is, I can go to multi-selection right here. I can just turn on and turn off. Also, which field my data has to show against, I can search against these fields. I can define what are the other fields which I am interested to see as part of my result set. But this facility is not there as part of my dropdown. So always go with a control which has more scope and more free hand while we are implementing the app. Just be aware of this limitation also. The next control is data table control. What is a data table control? First of all, let us see. We'll see the data table, one of the control we have in Power Apps. So next one is read only. The data table is absolutely read only. You cannot perform anything. Why they have implemented that control? When you want to show the user in absolutely a readable format, only a report generation, it is beautiful. Another beautiful thing with data control is, you can add any number of controls and it will show the horizontal scroller by default, which means that if the data is running beyond my eyesight, or I have around 27 columns, you will see columns happily and with a horizontal scroller. That's the beauty with data table. And cannot make any column level formatting, which we will see in a minute. cannot add or edit editable controls. Add any editable controls. Sorry, that's my typo issue. What do you mean by that? Now, if you come back to Power Apps, and if you add a new screen on this app, say I'm adding a new screen and I'm adding a data table. The time you add the data table, you can select what is the data source. But the beauty with that is, if you see, it automatically aligning and adjusting my control with a horizontal scroller by default, and it is just showing me all the controls, whatever the controls, all the columns, whatever is there as part of my data source. And this error is this product, probably this is coming as a value. There you go. When I say value, it automatically even then it is this. These are all the issues. If you notice here, right here, I cannot do any formatting on the data directly unless I just tweak out the data. See, now it is coming. I tweaked out the data. This is not the actual value I wanted to show. It is ideally a product, but the product is not coming. Now, one more advantage with the data table is I can expand and collapse by default. But all the other are limitations only. I cannot select. There is no way I can write a on select operation. Now, if you select the control and say on select on that control, nothing you could do. The property itself is not there. There is no way I can just fire an action on top of a data table. That is number two issue. And another issue is, if I want to add anything inside this, when I say, like, I don't want this to be shown as like this, probably I want to just show only the values where it is Mexico or where it is Canada. That implementation is not supported or not that easy. Meaning, like, I wanted to show this as a drop down. No, you cannot show that. Editable, I cannot make this table as editable, but the same thing I can implement with a help of a flexible gallery. I can add everything there. Only the limitation is I cannot add multiple columns. That's the only limitation with a gallery, which is existed and known stuff. If you want to avoid that, as I said, implement the gallery inside a responsive container. That will help you to enhance your gallery usage, and then you can add any number of controls and make your data more interactive. Okay. And the next one is a label control. Most of the times we will happily use the label control, but label also has limitations. What are the limitations? Cannot implement the custom styling, cannot do the custom formatting. What do you mean by that, Krishna? I am able to do the custom formatting. Now let us see. When I add a label, and now I wanted to show this is a wrong information. In this, I wanted to highlight the word wrong alone. I wanted to highlight only the word wrong alone. Also, I want to make the format of word wrong alone in a different format. Is there a way you can do it? Unfortunately, when I just change the format, it will get applied for the entire text. It will not apply for only one region of the text. Okay. And if I just say copy this and say bold, it will just make the entire text bold and entire text unbold. It will not see bold lighter. This is something new they have added. Earlier, bold, semi-bold, and normal. Bold lighter is something they have added recently. Okay. Now, when you just say that, it is not possible. Another issue is I have to go with only these fonts. I cannot go with the custom fonts, whatever I want to see by whatever is provided by the designer at the organization level. What is the workaround, Krishna? The workaround for that is use the HTML control. And also, when you have to implement exception handling, and want to show the error messages beneath the control, it will cost you one more control on top of the same screen. But if you add a HTML control, you can handle that. What is the HTML control? Under text inputs, add a HTML control. Now, if you see here itself, I can say red and say this is a wrong information. See the beauty. Now I can see the information right over here directly. And the beauty is now if I say 16 pixel or 25 pixel, it will apply for the entire data inside the control. But my user is very keen. The wrong has to be italic. Wrong only has to be italic, and it has to have more font. How could I do that? Is use a different structure, HTML formatting. Use this like this. See this. Now here I can say this is and the color is red, or here not here probably the color is red, and say wrong information. Now, if you see, the entire text is rendering in 25, but the wrong alone rendering in 45. Now, if I say 85, it will write the font size automatically. So always think about this way. Now, if you want to convert the same stuff into exception handling, how you could do that is you can always say if true this, if not, I wanted to show another set of information, say like that, followed by BR, a break I am adding, and then I can add another information, provide second name. Now if you just see that it is true. Now if I say false, this is the error message for my text box above. Whatever the text box I have, say that I have a text box to enter some data, I can just show the text box here. This error is related to the text box. Text box below that will have this header. So which means that with one control, I am showing both the header and footer also. If you just say true, what happens? It will not show that message. Say that, sorry. If the error is true, it will show that. If there is no error, if I say false, it will show only the header of my second control. That's all. So this is how I can reduce the number of controls on my screen also. The same control is behaving as an error messaging, as well as I can show my header for the next control. That's the beauty with HTML control. Most of the times we will add a number of labels, but never add more labels. Always use HTML control when we are implementing a custom form. The next control is a regular container. What is this? A regular container? Containers are one more control in Power App. And here what we are doing is we are comparing what is the difference between a regular container and a responsive container. See, all the issues with the regular container can be addressed with the help of responsive container. What are the issues with the regular container? Cannot implement auto width and height of the controls inside a container. Cannot do the control wrapping. What do you mean by the control wrapping, Krishna? If I just go and add a container inside this screen, where do I find my control? Can I just click on the plus and say container? You can see the container, and these two are responsive containers. Now, if I just add this and just start adding the controls, it will just drop directly there. It will not align the height of the controls automatically. Whatever I want to see, I have to define with multiple formulas. And also, if the controls are coming to each other, it will not wrap. It will just overlap the controls. So that is an issue. How I could address that is, if I add the same thing with the help of a horizontal container, and if I start adding the container controls inside that, it will it has a property as wrap the controls. So it will automatically wrap the controls the time I add additional controls in that container. So, and also if I want to just say height adjusting, there you go. It automatically adjusts the height. If I just remove these two, it automatically adjusts the height. So before, again, knowing all the controls is one level. What are the limitations with that control is another level. What is the limitation with the responsive container? If I want to show an image along with the icon, unfortunately I cannot see. That time I have to add a container, a regular container inside a horizontal container. Now if I say regular container inside a horizontal container, now I can add two controls at a time. Now I'll just say one label followed by one icon also. Say this icon, for example. Now I can just overlap my label and icon all together into one button or one control. So this will help us when you are implementing a gallery in a responsive gallery or a responsive uh, data in a gallery. When you implement an app with UI as a browser, as UI on mobile also, that is the time you will have to know how you can use these controls and which control should be used when what is a container, regular container or a responsive container. Okay, that is how we can fix the issue of the regular container. And the next one is the reusable code. Everybody says that Power Apps is really great, but I have to write the same code multiple times. No, you can implement a reusable code in Power Apps. How you can do that is, and the limitations with the reusable code is need to write and manage the code many times, and code handover to code handover makes life difficult when you are moving out of the project or you got a new team member in the team where you have to do the knowledge transfer to him or her. It will make your life messy to explain the entire code nuts and pieces one by one. If the same code is there on multiple screens for so whatever the reason, you'll have to explain each and every screen. And also, if there is any change on that particular code block, you will have to go to each and every screen and make the changes. Then what is the workaround for this issue, Krishna? Use the toggle control. Toggle control is one control, very low rated control in Power Apps, but this is the control gives you a lot of peace of mind for you when your app is a complex app where you have to load so many controls or so much of data and so many data calls you need to do across the screens. So how I could do that is, again, so code reusability. Example, in this screen, what I'm doing is I want to show the project names as part of this dropdown. But when you go to the project names, this is running out of a collection projects dot project name. So where am I building this collection? On app, on visible, on start, what I'm doing, I don't have a collection. It is not happening here. Then where I'm having a toggle control. Under the toggle control, I am doing this. For a toggle control, there are three properties you must know. Property number one, what is the default value of this toggle control? What it is a true or false? See, when you add a toggle control in your screen, it will change the value. Now, if I just say toggle2 dot default value. Now, if I just say this, that is how it will come. This is coming out of a property called default property of this control. So when you, and one more thing is beauty is one more property you need to know is on change property of the toggle control. Using this on change property only, we can write a reusable code blocks. When you go to toggle, default is a variable. I'll tell you what the type of variable should be and why it should be that type. And on change of the control, I am writing the code. So I can change this toggle control, or I can tilt this toggle control from true to false and false to true from anywhere in my app. Anywhere in my app, literally anywhere in my app. But how does that work is or the default property, this variable is a global variable. How do I know this is a global variable? Go to view, click on variables, click on global. There you go. Where execute code. This is what I have in my cache. Now, if I click on that, I am converting or tilting the true flag value. One is from app on start, and the other one is from screen project button add. So what is this screen? If you see, this is not the same screen. This is the screen where I have my toggle control with the code, but that toggle control I'm tilting from this screen. How am I doing? I'm converting my global variable value from true to false and false to true. Every time when it tilt that value, it will re-execute that code. So why am I doing that? When user add a new project, I should reload my collection with the recently added project. So what? I am rebuilding my collection. So this is how I can rebuild my collection with the help of toggle control from anywhere in the app. Now, example, if I just run the app, now I don't see a project name. So let's say this. If I click on add project, demo in Hindi event, sample project, approved, and I'll say add. The time I say add, it automatically added this. And also when I come back here, I can see demo in Hindi even. How did that happen? Because I have triggered that code from the add project screen. So that is how I can write any code I can write, and I can just change that code one time, so that it will be easy for me to maintain the code also. Any questions so far?
Anyone have any question you can ask here or the YouTube? Krishna, I'm
ahead.
already asking questions in the YouTube. So if anyone has questions, they can just ask in the YouTube, and then I will relate this message to you maybe towards the end. All right? So it doesn't
Go
break
ahead.
your momentum. Okay?
Fine.
Sure.
So that is how I can implement the reusable code block. And the next one is monitoring and debugging. When you are done with all the coding, it is always recommended to do the debugging, monitoring, control. You make use of that control. And however, that control also has a issue of cannot invite more than one end user to validate the app. What does that mean, Krishna? First of all, what is monitoring and debugging in Power Apps? In Power Apps, there is something called the advanced tools. Under advanced tools, you will see something called monitoring. When you open that, it will give you a sneak peek of your app performance, how the app is functioning, and what are all the parameters and what are all the functions which is sucking the most of the time on the app. When we spend a minute in this, it is showing various parameters as a result or the return data. When I just run the app, and if you see here, it will start capturing each and every click of the user. Every click means every click. Now, if I just say submit, it got submitted. Now, if I just come here, see, there you go. It did not go well, but when I come here and come to the formula, and it clearly shows what is the issue. Network error when using the patch function field module is required. So I have not provided the module name while submitting the project name. All I did is I have selected only project name. I did not select the module name. So I can see this got failed as part of my monitoring. And if you notice here, it clearly shows what is my status of that event. The status of this event is 200, which is success. When it is a 400, it is failure. Or it also shows the result as error. And also it will show additional information as part of the result info. You can always add additional information if you want to add as a trace log. What is the function I have to use? As I said, trace. I can just say here, trace Krishna. So what it will do, it will add into that additional information. Now, if you see here, submit, And if I come back to here, see that will get add here. So I can add n number of trace logs while I'm working on my app. Don't worry, it is not going to suck any of the memory, or it will not going to make the app slow down when user is running on their mobile, because this trace will only work if somebody is monitoring your app. How do we know the monitoring? We will see in a minute. These are all the information. It will show how many milliseconds and each and every operation took place, and what is the formula it is using, what is the request data, how much is that, and what is the response of your request. This is the response of your request. You can always see the data in a table format, or you can also convert then and there into a JSON tree. You can copy this and you can use as and when you wherever you want. You want to use it as part of your Power Automate, the JSON data. You can just copy from here, and you can copy from here and you can place it onto the Power Automate, and you can just happily be able to use it. So that is how this monitoring will help. So what is the challenge here? This is working fine. What is the challenge? When you see here, there is something called invite. What it does, what is this invite is helping? I have a team of 18 members. Out of that 18 members, two were complaining that my data is not showing up properly when I log in with this interface. Meaning, like, when I log in onto QA, it is working fine, but when I log into dev, it is not working fine, which means that they have additional permissions set up in dev, sorry, in QA, but not properly set up in dev. That is when. But how do I know? But this is the only time I'll know. So I can always invite my person saying, like, David Wilson. So this will send this will give a interface where it will last for only 60 minutes. Copy that, and now David will be able to see the errors. This will only gives the same interface. Now I can see the monitor, and David can also see along with me. What is the advantage? Assume that David is my architect who is willing to look into the issue. So David can see this, where and all the issue is happening, where and all the operations are getting failed. Now, if me as an end user run the app and click on the selection project, submit. Now David can also see that, oh, okay, wait, there is an error in this, Krishna. So he can see where and all the exceptions are coming, and he can always download this exception for his later use. He can download it in a JSON format, and he can manage that. Everything is fine. Where is the challenge? If you notice here, I can just say invite any number of people. I can invite to view the log. But if I want to see the same monitoring and debugging on a QA app, or a app is in production, or a completely published app, if I go to a published app pattern, if I go to here, and now I want to look after a published app, or which the app is into production already. Now if I just say code debugging reusability, when I just say here, click on the monitor, it will open a monitor with a production completely published app. That could be in production environment, or it could be in the dev environment. Now click on the published app. It will open the app, and it automatically says that, hey boss, you are into a monitoring. In what kind of a monitoring? It is in monitoring mode. You are running an app in a monitor mode. It also shows a red icon here to ensure that you are doing all the operations with consciousness. It will be there everywhere. It is not only on the landing screen, it will be there everywhere. Now the challenge here, or the limitation here, is connect user. I will say David Wilson again. Remember, in order to perform this operation, the app has to be shared with the user. Now if you notice here, I am not able to add more than one user to connect user. So, but this time this link works a little different. This is not for monitoring, this is to run the app. When I open the app, it immediately prompts that, hey boss, you're connecting to a monitor session. When I click on join, it immediately validate whether the app is shared with them or not. First step is validating. Now, if I have to go back and just first step is share with David Wilson. Share that. Now, once this got shared, the very same link will work because this user is part of the app now. Again, it asks you for the prompt. We'll say join. There you go. I'll say allow. There. This time, monitor, whoever is using the monitor can see both the sessions. Both the sessions. One session is Krishna session, and the other session is David session. But unfortunately, I cannot invite more than one user. This is the limitation. This is the limitation which is there. Unfortunately, there is no workaround for this limitation unless I just push out the user. Another important point is this works only for 60 minutes. If the session had to go more than 60 minutes, you will have to initiate one more session. With that, I would say the limitations and everything is completed. Now the floor is open for question and answers. This is my contact information. You can communicate with me on LinkedIn and Twitter, and that is my YouTube channel. Whoever want to be up to mark and up to the date with the solutions and changes, what's happening, what's coming in Power Apps, you can subscribe to my channel. Now the floor is open for questions. Go ahead, sir. You said you have some questions.
Krishna, most of the people have no questions so far, but Dhruvin, have you checked anything on the YouTube? I check on the LinkedIn, and nothing much is there. But again, what I mentioned to you, Krishna, it's amazing thing. I actually asked you that one of my projects, right? I was doing it, and I have a lot of issues with this 500 controls limit. So you actually beautifully explained how it works. I have actually asked people to subscribe to your channel as well. So really, really good. I was really happy. Dhruvin, anything you want to say here? Dhruvin, Abhinav, Prince, anyone? I think Dhruvin is not.
It's amazing, Krishna. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Great.
Thank you for the opportunity, guys. Thank you so much for the opportunity.